Hello everyone, Lucoshi here, and welcome back to another video. Today we are building an aquarium, as requested by Robert Verlinde and Manuel. This is an odd Speedbuild to title in the video, because we built 3 exhibits actually. As you can see right now, we are already building 2 tanks, but we are making a total of 3 aquariums, because we are making 2 small reef replica thingies for smaller reef fish, tanks and angelfish and stuff, and 1 big aquarium for blacktip reef sharks and for eagle rays. So, this is a weird video. Why? Because we don't use the actual tanks like they're supposed to be used in Tycoon. Well, you know me by now, I don't like playing by the book. I like doing my own stuff. And here that meant that I wanted to have coral reefs on a slope. They needed to be vertical and not horizontal. And since you can do hills and stuff in tanks in Tycoon, I decided let's just do it like this and make the entire aquarium kind of underground-ish. So that's odd, but it works and it looks cool in the end. I think we are mostly being held back by there not being a whole lot of coral downloads and me not having just no knowledge on reefs and aquariums. So I just put some coral together and some random stones and see how it goes. And we are let down because of the lighting system of Tycoon, which causes especially the main tank, the main shark tank, to be pretty bad looking. You guys really have to use your imagination for this one, because it isn't the best. The way water works in Tycoon, you can just completely see through it. You can see the back of the tank, which is not something you often see in real life aquariums. And if you do, you have dark walls, which I did not have installed, so we just made do with beige walls. But I'll come back to that in a second. Right now we are continuing the style of the touch pool video. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, it's pretty neat. And it lays the basis for what we are doing over here with the walls. We are also making the walls out of the pillars, because I just really like the fluent shapes you get using the pillars instead of the walls. Which causes this aquarium to be very smooth and organic looking and very aquarium-y, because in my experience aquariums also have these very fluid shapes. Which is cool and which is logical as it's water and all, so having a smooth building gets you in that kind of mood. Also something aquariums do a lot is having all of these curves and all of these circle shapes and stuff, just because aquariums are a mess behind the scenes. There's a lot going on, and yeah, that also works in Tycoon, because we have to make these tanks in a very weird way. They take up a lot of space, because especially these 2 small tanks are like 2-3 tiles, but they take up so much space because we have to create this entire hill, and but that makes it cool, right? It makes it special for a change. I've never done aquariums. The touch pool I did recently is the biggest aquarium I've ever done and the only one. So this was different, but different is always a good thing. And now I can finally cross this one off of my bucket list of Tycoon stuff. So yeah, the walls of the aquarium are all exactly the same, these grey whitish bricks. So we fiddle around with different details and stuff to make it kind of interesting. In the end, it isn't the most interesting looking thing, but aquariums often are very boring. Apart from the exhibits, of course, because the color and stuff needs to come from the coral reefs and not from the building itself, because that will be distracting. So in a way it does make sense to just have very white and modern architecture. For the big shark tank, I did not know what to do, because in real life, all big shark tanks I've seen are very empty. They're just big tanks with some sand and maybe a ship or something and some rocks, but not as extravagant as this aquarium turned out to be. But yeah, just having some rocks and stuff would look extremely boring, because you can just see the back of the tank. In real life you could only see a couple of meters and then it will be pitch black. But in Tycoon that doesn't really work, or at least I haven't found out how to make that work yet. So for now it is like this. A very tropical corally tank for eagle rays and sharks. Now, at the end I put in the roof, and I did that at the end because otherwise it would be very tedious to do so, and it turns out I did it a little bit too early. So yeah, the footage is kind of washed out because there is a roof over the building. So sorry for that, but hopefully you can still figure out what's going on. I also did some slight backstage stuff for the aquarium, the top of the aquariums, because I needed to have a roof over the aquariums, and then I figured, well, I might as well do the maintenance part for it. That could be a cool little detail. Which it was, but in the end you can see right through the water, so you can see the entire maintenance thing. So yeah, it's not the best aquarium ever, but it's my best aquarium ever, and my first, so that amounts to something. And you guys wanted an aquarium, so who am I to judge? Here you have an aquarium. Hopefully it kind of fulfills the expectations. And if it doesn't, do tell me what I could have done better, because I still want to learn stuff. I still want to get better at the game, and I want to make the most entertaining and pretty stuff I can make for you guys. So like I was saying, in this curve over here of the building, we needed something of detailing, because it would just be a boring empty curve. So I settled for these shark information signs, because that's something you see a lot in aquariums, lots of signs and lots of information and stuff. And that's what zoos are supposed to be all about nowadays, education. Yeah, as you can see, I start using these pillars to kind of simulate the kind of mechanism with which these things are kept floating on top of the aquariums, kept hovering above it, because it's often not a solid base. It's often these metal kind of frames and stuff for the maintenance people to walk on, and in here they are of concrete, but yes, oh well, I'm only thinking of that right now, so I probably should have changed it into the iron mesh thing by Snowleo, but oh well, the deed has been done. It still looks kind of cool. I also added the ceiling objects by Sophie's Taronga set, which kind of cover up the white roof of the building, so that's a good thing, but it's still very bright, and that's a shame. But at certain angles, especially the smaller aquariums, they look cool. I'm just not a fan of the big aquarium, but the small ones I do really like. And I like the shape of the entire building. Organic shapes in Tycoon is something you don't see often, and it's something we should see more often, because it's really cool and very different from what we normally see, and that is also important. But yes, we are nearing the end of the video. You should totally see this aquarium as only the inside, because on the outside it is a mess and it's not realistic because stuff is floating and there is water everywhere, but it's about the inside. And if I made a complete aquarium in an entire zoo, I would have to cover up the entire thing and it would look huge, but oh well, aquariums are very big often. So I also got a question for more kind of walkthrough footage at the end of a video, and I'm going to settle for these kind of visitor perspective cinematics, so hopefully it does the right thing for you. Hopefully you like it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and goodbye.